Carowinds is one of the greatest amusement parks in the world. The park is located on the border between South Carolina and North Carolina, which is what the park is known for. The park is also known for their massive giga coaster, known as Fury 325. This masterpiece of a roller coaster is very well known in the coaster community. However, this is not the only good coaster at the amusement park. Carowinds consists of 14 coasters, and I got to ride 13 of them in 2019. Today, I will rank them all. My name is Coaster Legend, and this is every coaster ranked at Carowinds. The only coaster I did not get to ride was their kiddie coaster, Wilderness Run. I am assuming that this would be the worst coaster in the park due to its small size. Let's start the countdown. Number 13, Kitty Hawk. This Vekoma family coaster located in Camp Snoopy is a very nice coaster to film and watch. Riding it is not the same. This coaster consists of bulky over-the-shoulder restraints that will definitely cause headbanging. The ride is also very boring, and every turn makes riders' heads bang from side to side. The turns are forceless, and the layout does not have anything special. I can definitely say that Flying Ace Aerial Chase at Kings Island is so much better than Kitty Hawk. Number 12, Woodstock Express. Woodstock Express is a family wooden coaster located in the Camp Snoopy section of the park. The ride is pretty smooth for its age and actually has some decent airtime. However, this ride is definitely the worst of the Woodstock Express clones due to a big jolt in the middle of the ride. This wooden coaster isn't horrible, but it also isn't great. Number 11, Carolina Cyclone. Carolina Cyclone is an aero looping coaster. This coaster is very nice to watch due to the track changing colors. However, this ride is extremely painful. The first two loops are pretty intense, but the corkscrews attempt to tear your head off. The amount of headbanging here is ridiculous, but the rest of the coaster is very enjoyable. If it weren't for those corkscrews, this ride would have been great. Number 10, Ricochet. Ricochet is a wild mouse coaster built by Mock Rides. This ride is pretty smooth, and the second half provides some good airtime moments. But the problem with this ride is that they are everywhere. This clone coaster also is lacking in the intensity department, but it is a great ride for the family. Number 9, Carolina Gold Rusher. Carolina Gold Rusher is a smooth mine train built by Aerodynamics. The coaster is full of fun turns and drops. However, this ride is tame for even a mine train. It lacks with forces, and the only forceful part is the ending. Also, the operations on this thing are horrible. It took up to 4 minutes for one train to dispatch. These flaws really ruin this coaster for me. The scenery in this coaster is nice, and it even goes over a little water. Definitely give this a shot when you're at the park though. Number 8, Hurler. Hurler is a wooden coaster in the front of the park. The ride is a little more than Carolina Gold Rusher, but the ride still has flaws. First off, this ride is rough. Do not expect this being a very smooth ride. The first drop and turn are nice, but the rest of the ride is unbearable. Also, after the first half, the rest of the ride lacks in forces. There is no airtime in the second half, and there are no laterals or positives. The second half is just a headache-inducing mess. Picture this ride like an ice cream cone. It's good at first, but after a while, it just becomes messy and hard to enjoy. This ride is still better than Carolina Gold Rusher because it at least has some forces. Number 7, Flying Cobras. Flying Cobras is a Vekoma boomerang, previously known as Carolina Cobra. Flying Cobras is surprisingly smooth for being a boomerang, and it's all because of the restraints. These vest restraints eliminate all headbanging that you would experience on the coaster. This results in a forceful and smooth ride experience that is extremely thrilling. The Cobra roll and loop provide an extreme amount of positive Gs, and the going through the layout backwards is even better. This ride is the opposite of Hurler. The second half is way better than the first. Number 6, Nighthawk. Nighthawk is considered one of the worst coasters by many. I disagree. This ride is very underrated. This Vekoma Flying Dutchman has a great setting over water. While riders are facing straight down, all they see is water, which adds an extra level of excitement to the ride. Also, instead of just focusing on the flying aspect like B&M Flyers, this ride also has many moments where you are on your back. These moments are very fun as well. Yes, this ride is a rattle, but it is barely noticeable. This ride is awesome. If you want to see my full thoughts on this coaster, please check out my Nighthawk review. There is a link in the description. Number 5, Vortex. Vortex is one of the most underrated coasters ever. This B&M stand-up roller coaster is hated in the coaster community, just like Nighthawk. But this ride is very underrated. The ride starts with a twisted drop into an intense vertical loop. After this, the ride goes into multiple turns and one corkscrew. This ride is often hated for being rough, but this ride is actually very smooth. Yes, sometimes the positives hurt a bit because of the bicycle seats, but there is zero headbanging on this coaster. This ride is very, very intense. The ride is full of positives and laterals, and the turns and inversions are very whippy. This ride needs to be noticed. The top 4 at Carowinds are great. They can be changed, but this is the way I have the top 4. Number 4, Afterburn. This ride is great, but it is a bit overrated. The ride starts with a great drop into an intense loop. Following this, the ride goes through many inversions, including a batwing and a corkscrew. This ride is very, very intense. The 0G roll and corkscrews are very whippy, and the batwing and immelman have a ton of positives. This ride is awesome. This ride is a bit short though. I prefer Raptor to this ride because it is a longer. Number 3, Copperhead Strike. Copperhead Strike is amazing. This ride starts with an insane inversion called a JoJo roll. The rider's hanging for about 5 seconds upside down. The ride has some theming and a weak launch into another slow inversion. After this, the ride has multiple more hang time filled inversions and airtime moments. This ride also has some very whippy elements. The laterals in the ending and the whippy transitions is what makes this ride better than Afterburn for me. Also, 3 on these inversions are really, really good. The hang time on these 3 inversions is unreal. Number 2, Intimidator. Intimidator is a B&M hyper coaster, meaning it's over the 200 feet tall. The ride's drop is great, and the first turn has great floater and laterals. Then, the ride has multiple airtime hills, which all provide amazing floater airtime. This airtime is way better than Diamondback's airtime, which is another B&M hyper coaster located at Kings Island. The rest of the ride is airtime packed and full of good positives. Also, the trims don't affect the ride too much. This ride is great. Number 1, Fury 325. Fury 325 is 325 feet tall. The ride is a B&M Giga coaster and is the best B&M in the world. The ride focuses on speed. The ride has multiple very intense turns and speeds of up to 95 miles per hour. The laterals and positives are nuts, especially in the treble clef element. This is my personal favorite part of the ride. May I add that the ride has multiple airtime moments with over 5 seconds of airtime. The amount of airtime is even more than Intimidator. This ride is one of the best coasters in the world. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and the subscribe button. Please consider watching some of my other videos if you enjoyed this one. Now roll that outro.